Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Survival Let's Play series with me, Tries. This is episode 14, and what you see behind me is what we made in the last episode. Doesn't it look fantastic? We've made a nice big dye farm, a nice little storage area that we keep all of our dyes. So if we go inside here, you can see we've put all the dyes inside, and also we have started to collect a few of what we can for each and every one of these dyes here. And we've also labeled the item frames as well, which means that I have no more levels. Oh well, I have low levels. As you can see, I'm now level 6 on that bar there, but that's okay. We can get that up in another episode, because in today's episode we're going to go ahead and continue with this little street that we have made. And I think that it's fantastic that we have a street, that we have buildings on either side here, so when we walk down it's going to be a nice little view. And we're going to put it right here. So just imagine, let me take a step back. As we walk down, there's going to be a nice building over here as well. So in today's episode, we're going to go ahead and sort this little area out. We're going to get rid of this little beacon over here, and we're going to add another building that kind of comes around here. A nice building like that. It's going to be quite tall as well. And then I'm really excited for the next building that we'll add over here. It's going to connect to this wall, and it will close off this street. And I'm super excited for that because it's got some really cool redstone. Something that I've always wanted to add into this world. And also, it'll be the first diagonal build that we make in this world. So, gonna get that done. And then we've got a bunch of farms. Well, a couple of farms that I'm really excited to do in these builds because they are fully my own design. So, it's going to be a little bit janky, but that's okay. Everything in here is a bit janky, and that's why it's awesome. So, we're gonna get that done. 2 buildings, 2 bits of farms, custom farms, and then we'll have a look at everything and see how it fits. But trust me, it's going to be amazing. So if you guys are excited for that, please stick around. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for liking, especially in the last episode. To all those new subscribers, welcome to the next episode. Thank you for staying. And for those who are continuing to watch me, thank you very, very much from the bottom of my heart. Okay, enough of that sappy stuff. Let's go ahead and let's get building today. Let's have a look at the blocks that we're going to be using today. And they should be just in here. Perfect. Okay, so these are the blocks that we'll be using today, just for the first build. The second build we'll use another set of blocks, but not too dissimilar to the ones that you see in front of you. But for this first build, you can see we are sticking to the tried and true granite, rooted dirt, and also the dripstone block, because we are going to make another platform of sorts like this. Part of this build was inspired by this little build over here and this little archway as well, if you don't know what I mean by that. And if you guys want to find out, please stick around. But we do have a nice little archway that kind of leads into an underground storage room, because at the end of the day, we are going to store the blocks that we get from these farms. So we'll have that to look forward to. So we have the dripstone block, the granite, and also the rooted dirt, and then the granite variants such as the polished versions of each one. And then we move on to the actual building. So this will be the color palette, the blocks for the bigger building of the two. As you can see, we are staying with a lot of the brown colors. This little color palette you've seen over here before, we've used it on that really big wood factory, that really big wood tower. So I'm going to keep that over here as well. We got our brown concrete powder, our packed mud, our stripped jungle logs, and also our brown mushroom blocks. So we're working with a lot of that today, and I think it's going to look pretty cool. But we're going to move on to the next building, and we're going to be using these blocks. These blocks you see me use a lot of times. That's because we are going to keep this place kind of the same in terms of themes. So we are going to stick with the bone blocks. Speaking of which, we do have, as you can see, some stripped oak logs and also some stripped birch logs and also some bone blocks. And then just to accent this particular one over there, we're going to use some brown mushroom blocks and also the plank versions of each of these stripped logs. And then we're going to do something really cool. We're going to do it to just the first big building, and we're going to use these signs here to make it look like weatherboards, make it look like slats on the building. And that is also partially inspired by that kind of look over there. Almost like it's some sort of shed, but this one look more of like a really big house, or maybe a really big shed. So we're going to use some jungle signs, and we're going to place it along the whole entire of the actual build. And I think it's going to look quite cool. Tell me what you guys think, of course. But I think the effect is very cool, especially because we got little gradients and texturing in the back. with this little sign at the front just to give it more texture and detail. And then just to cap everything off, we're going to put some of this at the very top as the roof. That's right, nothing too fancy that you've seen over there, and especially on the back over there. We're just going to keep it nice and simple with some of these smooth stone slabs. And it's going to be a nice little slant on either side, not a little triangle that you see there. Not too sure what the technical term for those are, but yes, that's pretty much what we're going to do today for the first build. So let's go ahead and let's get started with today's build. We do have little things that we need to do today, so let's quickly finish this up. We'll come in partway through just to see how it looks, and then we'll build the farms and then the next building. Okay? I'll see you in just a moment, guys. Won't be too long. Alright, so as you guys can see, we're done with the first little section of the first build. This nice little base layer. Nothing too crazy with the actual build itself. Some extra little details with the curves and little indents, as you can see, but also very similar to the build over here next to it. And also as well, the color palette and the blocks chosen, just so everything kind of matches, like I did mention before, so it's not too crazy and out there. So the rest of the build will look rather different to what we see in this little street here, but this little section, these little sections here are what I am most happy about. I mean, come on, this nice little area that you can go down into. We have a bunch of storage, and then we have this nice little space over here as well. As you can see, we are going to be storing most of the things, the natural blocks that you can pick up within the world that you can mine up. For example, that's dirt, that's coarse dirt, that's grass, that's moss, that's sand, and the other sand, gravel, clay, and then soul sand as well. And we do have them at the very bottom. Usually I don't decorate builds straight away, but for this particular video, this particular episode, I'm super happy with this little thing and super excited to show you guys. So I figured let's go ahead and decorate it so I can give you a nice little tour. Now, I'm sure you guys have noticed this thing over here and how it's got percentages on each one of these signs here. That is very important. And also this lever and these bulbs. Of course, we don't have anything connected to the very top at the moment, so we won't really be using that at the moment. But once we do, once we build the rest of this build, this little thing here will be connected to a whole bunch of circuits for our custom farm, and it's going to be fantastic. And of course, I will show you guys what that looks like. And don't worry about this, we will be needing this here. There is a hopper, because it does lead down into the little storage section in the middle. Just these little chests on this side, as you can see here. So, just wanted to cut in and show you guys that. What do you guys think of this little underground, this little underpass storage section so far? Let me know in the comments down below. For now, I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of this build, and then we'll have a nice little look, and then we'll get going with the farm. Okay? So, I'll see you guys again in just a small moment. Thank you for watching. And the first comment of the day goes to Nebulous, and they say that they love the builds and the slower toned down pace of building. Feels a lot more connected, and it also feels like they're actually watching it be built. They also want to thank for the color palette, and they're going to add it into the world, and they love the work so far. Thank you so much, Novelist, for your comment. That was an amazing comment. I'm glad that you took something away from that episode, and I look forward to seeing what you build. Okay, guys, welcome back. We have now finished the first build of today. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of this first build? Nothing too crazy, like I always say. Nothing much has changed in terms of the actual base, but in terms of what we have on top of it, what we have sitting on top of it, we have this nice little building. As you can see, if I can get up here, we have gone for such a very simple roof. Nothing like that over there where it's just two triangles and then some texturing. This one is just a nice little slant on both sides. We have these two buildings that are leaning next to each other, one smaller than the other, and we can therefore take advantage of this little slant here and make it look like it's intersecting into the other building. Gives it a little bit more height and also some little bit more playfulness in terms of the actual build and the way it looks. I think it's turned out pretty great, especially these little weatherboards. I think right now if I stand back, it looks really, really good. Look at that. So we have the texturing in the background, the little gradients that we have put in with the brown concrete, the stripped jungle logs, and also the mud and the brown mushroom blocks. And then we have the signs that sit on top, which makes it look like weatherboards, make it look like slats, I think. What do you guys think? The more I look at it, the more I think of some sort of cooking. What's that food that you often see in movies where they wrap it around in bacon and stuff? That's what it looks like to me. Some sort of house that's been wrapped in bacon. But other than that, I think it's turned out great. We also have a little sign here. Again, we'll put some sort of picture up there once we update to 1.21.1, so we can use the armor stand to take advantage of that. So for now, we'll keep it blank, just like we kept that one blank as well. In terms of the actual build, let's go into free cam. Nothing too complex. As you can see, we do have this little chimney over here, and inside we just have a campfire and also, I believe, a hay bale just sitting at the bottom of that to give it some extra movement, like we have been doing for the rest of the other builds. And as you can see, similar block palettes as well. Just added in a little bit more texture, a bit more detail with this little bit over here with the oxidized copper trapdoors. But other than that, nothing too special about this particular build. Just wanted to make it feel very earthy and grounded, and I think we did that with the colors. Now let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to put on the inside of this. So let's head up in here and let's have a look at the space that we're working with. As you can see, there's not much space going on in here, but there is enough space to add a little custom farm, and this farm is going to be making us a lot of moss. That's why we do need a lot of moss blocks, and also the little variants that come with it, the azalea and the flowering azalea bushes as well, because we are running out of ways to get rid of dirt. And for those who don't know, you do need azaleas to make rooted dirt. So we are going to get a bunch of those, one of those 2 birds, 1 stone type of farms. So with that being said, let's go back upstairs and let's get this done. Shouldn't take us too long. In fact, it should be fairly quick. Yeah. You know, it's always good to see these farms working, especially when you make them as janky as these ones over here, but that's okay because it's working, and as you can see, we are churning out a whole ton of moss and moss products, the grass, the wheat, the carpets, and the azaleas, which is fantastic. Like I said, looks very janky, but it does work, and it does fit into this building nice and solid. I mean, oh, we're collecting a few things. As you can see, we have a whole bunch of redstone just fitted inside of this entire thing. This little section over here is the actual moss farm, whereas this bit over here, you can see with all the repeaters and then these comparators with these hoppers, that is how we know how much bone meal we have left. In this actual system, we have a piston over here, which just goes down into an observer. If we go down, you can see an observer that points into this little bulb over here, which lets us know that there's about 90% of bone meal left. And as you see, it goes all the way down to around 10%. Of course, it's not completely accurate, but it does give us a general idea of how much bone meal is left. So then we can always refill it up through here as well. And you can see the bone meal is not going down as quickly as you might expect it to be, especially how much moss we're making. But this whole line of hoppers over here, full bone meal. And then it goes into this drop over here, which then leads into the dispenser. But that, oh. But that is all done for this little section over here. We are going to go into a little bit of a redstone tutorial kind of. I'm just going to show you how this all works in a bit more detail. But for now, let's have a look here. So as you can see, we've gone ahead and we've labeled a bunch of these little barrels here, and that's why we're going to put the excess stuff in here as well. What's this? Ah, the root of dirt. Put the root of dirt in here. But if we come onto this side, this is actually where all the stuff comes onto. And I've been letting this run for about 30 to about 40 minutes, I think. Let's see how much we've got. Oh my gosh, that is quite a lot. Yep. So as you can see, we have a whole bunch of things coming through already. We're never going to run out of moss. Never going to run out of these flowering azaleas and these azaleas, which is fantastic. So let's go ahead and let's stop it for now. And then let's go ahead and let's flip through into our creative world where I can show you guys what it actually looks like. Okay? Fantastic. I'll see you guys in just a moment. And welcome guys to my creative testing world where I make most, if not all, the things that you've seen in the series in here first, just to make sure that everything looks cool and is actually working. As you can see, we do have a couple of things in the background that you've seen before in previous episodes, like that dye farm and that dye storage room. But we're not here to sightsee. We're here to see the actual farm that I've made today, just in case you want to make it or you want to understand how it works so you can make your own little version. It's not too hard at all. So let's go ahead and have a look at the dimensions first. As you can see, in terms of the length, it's about 9 blocks. And then in terms of the width, it is about another 7 blocks. And then in terms of the actual height, it's about 7 blocks. Looking at the actual build, there's nothing too crazy or complex. Something like this you can definitely make. I know you can. It is not too hard. We're just working off the principles of how moss actually spawns. So if we go down here, I can show you. For those that don't know, if you do bone meal a moss block, it will turn any other block around it into moss, and then it'll also grow the tall grass, the grass, and the azaleas and whatnot. So let's have a look. So once we bone meal it, as you can see, we've turned most of the stone into moss blocks, but now we have all these things at the very top. And how do we get the actual moss blocks? Well, I do have a nice little solution over here. As you can see, we have a bunch of dispensers, a couple of dispensers that have water buckets in each one. And what that does is it's going to clear everything that you have on top. And at the same time, it's going to activate these pistons over here that generate the new forms of block that will be pushed forward. And that is this little contraption over here, just taking a slice for you to see. As you can see, we have a polished andesite stair with some water, and we also have a lava source at the very top. For those that don't know, if you combine these two, you make stone. And then we have a set of pistons. This one is a sticky piston, and we have a target block at the very bottom, and then an observer looking at that redstone torch. If we press this button, it's going to activate this sticky piston. It's going to pull down that stone, and then after that, it's going to trigger, because at the same time we press that button, this redstone torch will turn off, and the observer will watch it turn back on, and then it will activate this piston over here just a tick or so later, pushing it out. So if I press it, we'll see it all happen. Fantastic. And then creates a new stone, and then we can do that again over here. Perfect. And so we have 5 of those just stacked across there. As you can see, we have them all aligned up. So now we have the things that we can get rid of. We have the stone generator that is going to be constantly pushing all the moss blocks out. And where does that go? It goes down and out and into this little section over here. In terms of the timings, we have this little bit over here, which is an observer, which runs a clock just around, as you can see, into all the pistons that we just spoke about. And at the same time, this observer will pick that up and it will fire this dropper into the dispenser. And that is how we make our moss at the very top. At that very same time, it's going to run all across, and it's going to trigger these dispensers over here, because as you can see, we have 2 observers looking down into these redstone lines. And once that is all triggered, it's going to continue the circuit through here, as you can see, with the nice redstone repeaters. It's going to activate this line over here, which will then activate this set of repeaters. As you can see, we've set it all nice and well with the timing, so it gives us some time to wash everything away, collect it before it comes back through here for another cycle, and it rinses and repeats. In terms of the bone meal counter that we've seen in the system, how it works is with this basic item counter. I got this from Mama Jumbo. Of course, the link to the video will be in the description down below. but it is quite a simple little contraption. We just have an item in here that is read out by a comparator into these blocks, into this redstone repeater, which then locks each of these hoppers here. And at the very first hopper, we have an item, and that item is being read by this comparator into this block, into this redstone lamp. What happens is once we press this button, it's going to shoot this item up into this hopper and it's going to go back down. But for that brief second, this is going to depower, which will allow this item to slip through into the next hopper. And that pretty much happens for as long as you want. You can chain this up infinitely. Well, I could say around 15 because the power level of this actual redstone line. But in doing so, it does tick through each of these lamps. So once we press the button, we'll see all of that happen. Item's going to shoot up. It's going to unpower this comparator, which then will depower this, giving us a brief moment for the item to travel through the hoppers and then turning on this lamp. Okay, let's have a nice little look. Fantastic. And if we keep doing that a couple more times, it's just going to reset. As you can see, the redstone line stops here, which then will allow the rest of the item to flow through all towards the end. Fantastic. Okay, guys, so that is the demonstration of how this moss farm works. Hope you guys learned something. If not, all good. Hope you guys still enjoyed this little demonstration, but it's time for us to go back into the survival world where I'm going to be making the second build of today's episode. Hope you guys enjoy. And the next comment of the day goes to DreamX999, and they say that they're on a trip right now and they have just discovered Skytries, and it's given them so much inspiration. They love the nostalgia in the buildings and that they like the colors and the style. And they've also subscribed. Thank you so much, Daydream, for your comment. I hope you're enjoying your trip and I hope you're staying safe. Thank you so much for your comment. Welcome back, guys, to the survival world. Yes, we're back here. Hope you guys enjoyed that little demonstration, but we're going to move on to the next building. And as you can see, we have a whole bunch of blocks laid out in front of us, and these blocks are what we're going to use for that building. And also we do have some blocks in the back as well. But paying attention to this one over here, we have got a really weird assortment of colors. It is going to be very brown still because we are going to stick to this little theme over here because it's going to be connected in sorts of ways. So we have brown. As you can see, we've got the brown concrete, into brown wool, brown concrete powder, packed mud, brown mushroom blocks into the stripped jungle, and then also the planks, and then into terracotta. I know it's going to be very harsh, as you can see, these two colors not blending too well, but once we put it into the build, the way it works is quite brilliant, I think. Just add a little bit of staining into this building. You'll see what I mean once we get going on. And then into this little, I think that's cyan terracotta. Yeah. And that again is very, very contrasty. It's very, very different in terms of the color as well. And then that moves on to this cobblestone. Again, very different. Not much blending going on here, but it is just to emphasize the stain, almost the discoloration of the entire build. And then from there, we have the mossies into the greens, as you can see. Now, we kept that roof very simple over there with the smooth stone slabs. Now we're going to mix it up and actually put some detail into this one. And we're going to be using a nice little black kind of gradients. We've got the black stone here leading into all the different types of deep slate. And then finishing on the lightest little stone, the tuff. So that's what we're going to be using for this second build. We're going to build it all the way up. We're going to have a lot of accents as well, a lot of detail as well. Just things that I didn't want to add here. Don't want to give too much away, but we're going to do that right now. Okay, guys, so I'll see you in just a moment. And I believe we still do need to collect some stuff. We still need to add in the redstone as well. So I think we might do that all in one go, and then we'll have a nice little check-in. Okay? Perfect. I'll see you guys in just a bit again. Okay, let's go. And it's been about that moment. And as you guys can see, we have fully established the second building. And we added in a little bit of some decorations. Not really some decorations, just some more scaffolding that we did for the other build at the very back. But we've just done it too tall, too high. And we just added through them on the side just to fill up some space on either side of these walls because it was looking quite dull. But now looking at the scaffolds, we're looking at the build in itself. As you can see, we have two little towers that kind of look like the silos, the small versions of silos, but with this little diagonal gate. As you guys can see, no, we cannot get through it. Yes, we can. That's because we have the jump boost, so we can get through it, but this thing is fully operational. In fact, if I go ahead and press a button, no, I'm joking. We don't actually have a button for this. We have a really cool way of opening it, but we do need to get one item for that later on. Actually, two items that we currently don't have that makes this whole thing operational. But for now, let's take a nice little look. As you can see, like I said, we were sticking with the brown because it is just coming off of that building over there. So we have all of this nice big brown items, these blocks all the way to the very top. And as you can see, with the texturing, we are trying to again make it look a little bit more withered. So we do have the brown concrete powder, the mud, and also the mushroom blocks that lead into the stripped jungle wood, jungle logs. And then we have this nice, really cool building over here. Just wanted to bring it back to the church, as you guys can see over there. In terms of the roof, in fact, let's get a little bit back over here. Just wanted to make that roof a little bit the same as the church. So as you can see, we do have like a nice little triangle that goes up, two tools. And then we have a nice little roof that kind of follows on it, but just a block lower. In terms of the stylistic choice, not really sure where I got it from. Just kind of came to me, but I think it looks really cool. Overall, it looks very cool, and this is nothing more than just a different way to get up to this level over here, which means if we go through it, we are now in a different area that connects us to the rest of this area, the village inn, the church that way, and then the garden down that way. So if we come down this way, let's say if we're just up here, we can come through here or through that little passage over there, but through here as well will take us onto this side as well. I think one of the great many ways you can make your little build, your cities, your little town feel better is having more than one way that you can enter and exit from. Just having these little interconnected pathways definitely feels much better than just having one straight way. For example, we also do have that pathway through there and also there and then up from here all the way around as well. Now, I know what you're thinking. I did just mention that there are different ways to get in, which I guess in hindsight, it does make this thing kind of pointless, I guess, kind of. But I just really want to add in a nice little gate section. And I think further down the line, we'll add some more buildings in the back as well. So we can kind of close this little section off, although we can still look at it like a little alleyway as well. I think we'll have a building in here one day, but not anytime soon. So yes, we have finished this little section here. We still need a couple of items to make this work, but we'll grab that later because right now we have something else to build and we're going to do that very quickly so we can get cracking on with today's episode. Yes, today's episode is going to be running a little bit longer than usual, a little bit longer than 30 minutes. I hope you guys don't mind at all. But as you can see, we have this nice little underpass. So we can come down here. And if we come all the way down, you can see we got a couple of spaces that we can go down to. That's a bubble all the way up. And this one is just to go all the way down. As you can see, bang. So this here I've already dug out. Took quite some time, about 30-40 minutes. And oh, zombies around. And we dug this out because we're going to put our own little mud farm, our little clay farm in here. So we're going to get that done straight away. And we're going to do that right now. And I think we're going to do it in a time lapse. We'll mix some of these time lapse into these videos, these episodes. Hope you guys don't mind. But let's get started. Enough yapping. Let's go. Alright guys, welcome back. We have finished with this little redstone machine, which also marks the end of all the building that we're going to do in today's episode. Hope you guys have enjoyed everything so far. Yes, we did have to move the floor down a little bit. I forgot that we needed this little section as well, and that was in the floor. So things have changed a little bit in terms of the height. But as you can see, we are taking full advantage of these dripstone blocks and also the spikes as well, converting any mud that we make into clay. For the reason why it's so tall is that hopefully by the time the mud starts here and ends up all the way over there, where it'll be exploded by TNT, it converts into clay. Obviously, we won't get all of it as clay, but we will get quite a few clay and mud, if not a 50-50 split, which is great. Who doesn't need mud as well? Having a look at the machine, nothing too crazy. You can actually find, I think, just as good, if not better ones, better mud converting farms as well. This is just a mud converter, my very own. Really wanted to try and make my own things just because it makes this world a little bit more special. But basically, it's just a mud converter. So once we put a block down, this block state will change, and then this observer will realize pushing this piston across. And as it does that, it just activates this dispenser with a bunch of water bowls inside of it. And then it's just going to keep pushing it across. Push, push, push until it reaches around that wall there, which will then push everything up. And that's just what it's going to do. It's going to push it up, across, up, across, up, across until, if we go into cheaty cam, till we get to about here, where once this piston activates, also activate the TNT duva at the very top over here, landing right there, and then it's going to explode. Now, we don't have a collection system at the moment, but they will all flow in here and then out this little hole over here. And I'm thinking we will send it up to the very top somewhere. Now, let's try it, make sure that it works. Let's put a little block down and let's see what happens. Perfect. So if we can just keep pressing this. Fantastic. Everything is pushed across and we can just keep going, which is very good. Still got the same amount of bottles inside. Let's keep going. Now, I have made this so that I can use Twiggeroo, so that's what I'm going to do now. Going to generic, we're going to go to periodic, and we have it set on 10, so we can set it on 10, but to really maximize the amount of clay that we want to form, we can set it to 30. And if I press my button over here, it's going to place a block every 30 ticks, and as we keep pushing more and more mud into the system, eventually it's going to hit the piston at the very back, and then hopefully we see it go up. Oh, there is a piece of clay already, guys. So it is working. There it is. The piston goes up, and we'll keep pushing, and then it'll just cycle all the way to the next layer. But once it does this, because it is still under the dripstone, it is constantly pulling the water out, which means that eventually we will get some clay, and that usually happens around the 3rd and 4th layer, and by the 5th layer we'll have a whole bunch of clay. And with a stack done, we can call this one completely finished. Okay, let's get out of here. We still have a couple of things that we need to do. A couple of things that we need to get from a place that I really don't want to go. Open my inventory, you can see we have a whole bunch of wool. I'm sure you can guess what that means. Ah, of course it's raining. Yes, that's right. We are going to the deep dark. Only a little item that we can get is spawned in a deep dark. So let's go there. Let's go get it. And hopefully let's not die. Well guys, we have made it into the deep dark and we already have the things that we're after. We're after these skulk sensors. That's right, we need these skulk sensors to finish off today's episode, to finish off that redstone build. So let's go ahead and grab these things over here. Fantastic. Now, we are actually going to spend a little bit more time here because we did just get here and I think it'd be a complete waste if we didn't actually do something. So let's just dig straight down, which is a terrible idea, I know, but okay. So we're just going to be in and out, just going to see if we can grab some stuff and hopefully not die. Hopefully.
A few moments later.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go back, get our stuff and get out of here. Oh man. Welcome back guys, we're back at home base. And as you can see, I've got some arrows in me. That's because we have done some work. with those skulk sensors. We've turned them into calibrated skulk sensors, I believe, because, well, I'll show you in just a second actually. As you can see, I didn't mention before, but if you look at that water texturing, that was what I was talking about in terms of the way it all blends together. Up close, not so much, but if we look back like this, you can see the discoloration, almost like the stain from the bottom of the earth is just slowly eroding the rest of the tower. I think it's a really cool block palette in terms of these things that we've used together. From far away, it looks absolutely fantastic. But enough about that. Let me go ahead and let me show you why we went all the way to the deep dark and died for, okay? Let me show you what it was all about. As you can see, we've got a horn in my hand. I think it's the sing horn. Yep, it's the sing horn. And we have a gate over there. I'm sure you guys can put two and together. But once we drive past, we'll go around these guys. Once we drive past, as soon as we get close enough, we can play and nothing happens. Let's try that again. We can play it after the cooldown. And it should put it up. Fantastic. And then in just a moment, it should put it all back down, does it? It just gives us enough time to walk through in case. Fantastic. And there you go, guys. You can see we have a fully functioning gate. And yes, it does work from both sides. If I press this again, bang, bang, there we go. Just double piston actions as well. I think that is fantastic, which makes me want to use my horse a whole lot more. We do have this guy around here and it just sits in a stable all the time. I think maybe as a new rule, whilst we're in our city, we just use our horse a lot more often. But look at that. Fantastic. That is so cool. But I'm sure you're wondering how that works. Let me just show you in the cheaty cam. Basically, we have a calibrated skulk sensor over here with an electrode inside of it and also pointing out of it a comparator. We have this book turned to page 3, which for you guys who don't know, page 3 is like eating, I think it's projectiles and also the horn. So any of those sounds will activate this skulk sensor, as you can see, and then we have a double piston action over here, pushes everything out, and then we have a little timing circuit that goes through these repeaters, goes all the way up into this torch tower, which takes us up into this section over here, which is just another section of double piston extenders, which then push down the entire gate. So if we have another look, everything goes up, fantastic, and then the repeaters should tick through, which will then come up through here in just a moment. We'll see. There we go. And then everything gets pushed down. Brilliant. That is so cool. But I know, again, doesn't make sense because we do have openings in there, and also there, and then down there. But we will close that little section off perhaps in next episode. But for today's episode, we are calling it done. We're officially finished. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. The episode did run a little bit longer. Apologize for that. But hopefully I do get it out to you guys within 2 weeks. Okay, guys, thank you so much for commenting and for liking. Thank you so much for subscribing. And I'll see you guys in the next episode, okay? I'll see you guys then. Woo! Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. Bye, guys.